I do want to bring in CNN military analyst and retired Army Major General Dana Pittard. He is the author of Hunting the Caliphate, America's War on ISIS. Sir, let's talk first about this new general who was a key figure in Russia's involvement in Syria, doesn't have much regard for civilian life, to which I would say, what's new then? But what is your expectation with him now being the lead?
Well, good morning, Brianna. Yes, you're right. General Alexander Dvornikov has a reputation for being brutal and not caring about civilian casualties when he was in charge of Russian forces in Syria. I think what we'll see is an attempt by General Dvornikov and his subordinates to re-energize Russian forces and to push to take not only the Donbass region, but all of eastern Ukraine in the near future.
So we're looking at this convoy, sir, this 8-mile-long convoy outside of Kharkiv. What are you expecting?
Sure. Tactically, similar to what we saw outside the capital of Kyiv, is Russian logistics moving slowly, Russian vehicles moving slowly, and unfortunately, Ukrainians can't fully take advantage of that because they do not have all the systems they need, and that's tactics. What we need to look at, though, is operational and strategically, is the U.S. and NATO, though they've given lots of weapons to Ukraine, and that has certainly been helpful, but they need to seize the strategic initiative from Russia instead of Russia or the U.S. always reacting to Russia. It is time for Russia to react to the U.S. and NATO, and there's several steps that can be done.
General, can you talk about something they're seeing in the Kharkiv area that is of I think utmost concern? This is happening in civilian areas, this type of mine that is being launched, and it actually scatters other mines that can go off on a time delay. Tell us about this.
Yes, they're called scarable mines, and they're fired normally from artillery. They kill individuals, but what we've seen throughout the world when those are used, they linger for a while, sometimes for weeks, months, and it cause civilian casualties. Most nations in the world have signed treaties so that they don't use them. Russia is obviously not one of them, but they kill civilians more than they kill military.
You've said it's time for NATO to get Russia to react to it, not NATO reacting to Russia. What would that look like in your opinion?
Absolutely, Brianna. There's a number of things that can be done. First would be for U.S. and NATO to declare Western Ukraine as a humanitarian assistance zone. And based on the success of the Ukrainian forces, that humanitarian assistance zone should be from east of Kyiv all the way down to Odessa. And that will require NATO and U.S. troops to enforce that on the ground in Western Ukraine, where there aren't Russian forces at this point, and also a no-fly zone of Western Ukraine. The use of special operations forces from the U.S. and NATO to help advise and train Ukrainians. And they would bring a heck of a lot of combat enablers, intelligence, logistics, even at times airstrikes as necessary would be a part of that. And then strategically, Russia has shown a number of weaknesses. It is time to push other nations that are currently under the thumb of Russia, such as Kazakhstan, such as Armenia, such as Georgia, to rebel against Russia's foot on their countries. Again, this will cause more dilemmas for Putin, and of course, urging the Russian people to change their government, ideally legally.
Major General Pittard, do appreciate you being with us. Thank you for your analysis this morning. Russia's Vladimir Putin doing